This is Module 4 in the series of Vista Imaging Clinical Capture training modules, and it will cover importing images. It is suggested that the modules initially be viewed in sequential order to become familiar with the options necessary to perform document scanning and image captures. Importing images is similar to document scanning, so it is suggested that Part 3 of Module 3, Document Scanning, be viewed prior to this module. Importing is used to capture images such as digital photographs, images from endoscopy studies, and documents in electronic format such as PDFs. Images can be imported from a local workstation, a network folder, a digital camera, CD, or DVD. To demonstrate the image importing processes, I have already logged in to Vista Imaging Capture and selected a patient. In order for images to be imported from a capture workstation, the Input Source section in the mag.ini file must have import set to true. For this example, I will click the word Source at the top left of the capture window and select the Import Radio button in the Source section at the left side of the Imaging Workstation configuration window. At the right of the window in the Format section, the radio button labeled Use Format of Imported Image has automatically been selected, and the proper image format will be based on the file name extension of the image being imported, such as JPEG or PDF. This reduces the chances of an incorrect image format being selected, and it allows batch captures of images with mixed formats. I will click the OK button at the bottom left of the window to import a single image. The capture window has changed from the customary appearance seen in document scanning. The image long description field below the capture button can be toggled by clicking the blue double arrows at the right of the taskbar. An entry in the image long description field is optional. The Import Directory List box is displayed at the bottom left of the capture window. I will click the Biopsy Configuration button at the top center of the window, which will populate all of the index fields except the date fields. I will enter a date in the Note Date field and press Enter on the keyboard, which will populate the Document Image Date field. In import mode, the directory of images to be imported must be selected. The default import directory is C Program Files x86 Vista Imaging Import, as seen here at the bottom left of the screen. There are a number of ways to select a directory, and for this demonstration, I will click the Select Files to Import icon at the far right of the Import Directory List box at the bottom of the window. The Select All Files in Directory or Selected Files pop-up window is displayed, and I will navigate to the desktop by clicking the pull-down arrow at the top of the window and select the Sample Pictures directory. I will take the default of All Files from the file name box at the bottom of the window by clicking the Open button at the bottom right of the window. The files are added to the Import Directory List box at the bottom of the window, and the file path on the taskbar has been modified. Clicking an image from the Import Directory List box at the bottom of the window will display it in the right side of the capture window. Following local site policy for image quality assurance review, verify that the image is associated with the correct patient, the correct progress note or procedure, and that the patient identifiers are viewable. Clicking the Capture button at the bottom left of the window will display a confirmation pop-up dialog window. Click the OK button to save the image, or click the Cancel button to abort the image capture. When the image has been saved, the patient's name and any index fields that don't have a hold value applied to them are removed from the capture window. The same QA check that is done after document scanning is necessary to validate that the image was actually saved to the archive. click the File menu option at the top left of the capture window, select the patient from the bottom of the list of options, then click the File menu option again and select Latest Patient Images. A separate pop-up window will be displayed with a listing of current images for the patient, with the most recent image at the top of the list. Clicking an entry in the list will redisplay the image in the capture window. When you are finished viewing the image, click the Cancel button below the Capture button. For the next example, I will change the settings to import multiple images. I will click the Biopsy Configuration button again and populate both date fields. At the right of the Capture button, I will click the Batch checkbox. A confirmation pop-up dialog window will be displayed to let the user know that they must be capturing to an image group in order to enable the batch import functionality. Click the OK button at the left of the window to accept the change. The Batch Capture Options dialog window will be displayed with 3 options. The first option is before each image in the batch is saved, prompt for image description. I suggest that this box be checked, which allows the user to enter different information for each image in the group being captured. If this box is not checked, each image in the group will have the same short description. The second option is after a successful save, delete image file from import directory, and I strongly suggest it not be checked. If the box is checked, the images will be automatically deleted from the source after the Image OK button is clicked. If the user then realizes they made a mistake, or if the images were not properly saved to the archive, the images are no longer available from the camera or other source. The third option is Do Not Show This Window directly below the OK button. I suggest that this box be checked only if the settings for the first 2 options I just described are selected. Checking this box will prevent the Batch Capture Options dialog window from being displayed before each capture. Click the OK button at the center of the dialog window. For the single image import demonstrated earlier, I had to navigate to the image directory. This time, I can click the blue down-pointing arrows and the image directory list displays all previously selected directories. There is a setting in Clinical Capture that automatically adds new directories to the import list, so the Sample Pictures directory is now in the list and it can be easily selected by clicking it. The Select All Files dialog is displayed with the default of All Files at the bottom of the window. Click the Open button as before. The files are displayed in the Import Directory List box at the bottom of the Capture window, and there is now a Batch Capture List box directly below it. To move images from the Import Directory List to the Batch Capture List box, click an image, then click the blue single down-pointing arrow. This can be repeated for all images to be captured, or hold the Control key on the keyboard and highlight the desired images in the Import Directory List, then release the Control key and click the blue single down-pointing arrow. Clicking the blue double down-pointing arrows will move all files from the Import Directory List to the Batch Capture List box. The blue single or double up pointing arrows can be used to move images from the Batch Capture List box to the Import Directory List if necessary. I have moved 3 images to the Batch Capture List box, and I will click the first image in the list, then click the Capture button below the index fields at the left side of the window. A confirmation pop-up dialog window will be displayed to let the user know they are saving multiple images. Click the OK button at the left, and the Batch Capture Image Description dialog window will be displayed. The default image description is copied from the image description index field in the main capture window, but it can be modified or replaced as appropriate. Click the OK button if the image description is correct, or the Skip This Image button to bypass importing the image. The next image is displayed, and the Batch Capture Image Description dialog window is shown again, but the image description displays the text entered for the prior image. Edit it as necessary and click the OK button. The Batch Capture Image Description dialog window will display for each image, and the description should be modified accordingly. When the last image has been captured, click the Study Complete button below the Batch checkbox at the left of the main capture window to complete the batch import process. The Study Group is Complete dialog window will be displayed and provides one more chance to edit the short description in the top box and the long description in the bottom box if necessary. Click the OK button at the bottom left to close the dialog window. The import process is completed, and the QA check needs to be performed as demonstrated earlier. Another of my favorite tips and tricks is to drag and drop images directly from the source into the clinical capture window. I will click the Wound Care Configuration button and populate both date fields. For this example, please imagine that a digital camera has been connected to the capture workstation after taking some photos of a patient's wound in clinic. I don't have a camera connected to my workstation, so I will open the Sample Images folder from the desktop, but the import process is the same. I will click 3 images from the folder while holding the Control key on the keyboard. Click and hold the left mouse button on any of the highlighted images and drag the images to the right side of the capture window. The files are listed in the Import Directory box at the bottom of the capture window, and I will move them to the Batch Capture list by clicking the blue double down pointing arrows. From here, the capture process is the same as the batch import demonstrated previously, so it won't be shown again. This is the end of Module 4.